Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LeanTossup Call of Duty League podcast. This is it, guys. This is it. This is the end of the regular season because we don't really count majors regular seasons, even though they kind of actually are. But whatever. This is it. The end of the regular season. All right. No more regular season after this week. Major 5, Week 3 qualifiers. That's it after this. This is our third last episode of the year. We got this episode, then we've got Major 5 next week, and then a couple weeks later we're champs, and then that's it. You won't hear from us again for 6 months. Actually, you will. I do a college football podcast on this channel. So if you're interested in college football, which I assume a lot of you are, stick around. We're going to do some college football stuff very, very soon with Buck Metrics. Tonight, though, I am here with my co-host CDL Metrics, and we're here to talk about the last week of the regular season. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It is crazy that this is the last week of qualifier matches for the whole year. That's bittersweet, I suppose, but I am ready to just go into Major 5. I'm ready for champs. We will get there eventually. I do want my Minnesota Rocker to make it to champs. I don't know if that'll happen. They're hanging on by a thread after last week, but yeah, a couple big matches for them going forward. But yeah, of all the weeks so far, like last week in the CDL, not the most fun to watch. I mean, the matches pretty much went how we thought they were going to go. A lot of lopsided matches that ended quickly. I would say the one kind of big surprise was Mutineers over LA Thieves. And we'll talk about both of those teams very quickly into this podcast. But yeah, Mutineers 3-1 Thieves on Saturday, I believe that was. Uh, Pretty shocking result, to say the least, considering how we see Thieves, the reigning world champs. They've already won a major this year. So, yeah, that was definitely interesting. Everything else pretty expected. The Rocker Legion game lived up to the hype. Sorry to see my Rocker blow the game 4 in game 5, but that's just kind of what they do. But it at least makes things interesting as we head into this last week for those two teams and going into, potential seeding for Major 5. It could be huge if Legion can get, a winner's bracket start and Rocker start and losers. Vice versa is still up in the air. So there's still a lot to work out with that. But yeah, very excited to talk COD. And yeah, just weird that we're already at the end.
Yeah, it definitely is. So just a quick update in terms of the race here. So Thieves have 0 points, which is a big upset. London Royal Ravens are 0-3, which yeah, that's fine. Thieves are 0-3, which is the upset. LAG is 1-3. I think LAG's one win was against Ravens. So cool, good for them. But then they're 1-3, so things have not been going well for them either. Surge is 1-2. That one win coming against I think Thieves actually, right?
Surge just beat Breach on the last.
Breach.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I deep six that from my memory because they're still that's pretty painful. So yeah, that was a loss for me. So yeah, sorry, that was one of their win. Then Rocker is in eighth place at 1-2. Then Vegas is at 2-2. So Rocker does have a path to get to the winners bracket, but they have two games, but Legion only has one game. So we're gonna talk about the games this week. Florida somehow in the winners bracket right now at 2-1. Subliners at 2-1. Breach at 2-1. Ultra 2-1. Phase 3-1. There, that's I mean at this point you're a lot. Once you're two, I think basically once you're 2-1, you're almost a lock into winners bracket. Like Toronto will make winners bracket. Phase will make winners bracket. Optic, I think if they're 4-0, they're approaching the number one seed, but again, we don't bet on number one seeds because none of this actually matters. So that's for Major 5. Let me just look at the regular season standings because again, we talked about this I think a couple weeks ago, but it is now official. LAG and London Royal Ravens have been eliminated from champs. We will not see them again after next weekend, which is fine because LAG as an organization will not exist after next weekend, so that's okay. Legion sits in ninth place. They're only 10 points back of Minnesota, only 30 points back of Boston, actually only 40 points back of Surge. But basically, you're looking at Phase, Optic, Ultra, Thieves, and Subliners. They're all in the 250s. They've got basically at least another 50 points on the sixth place team. I'm not sure if Subliners have officially locked in champs yet or not, but basically they have. There is a little bit of issue there, not issue, but some unknowns between 6th through 8th. But again, some of this will be determined this week. A lot more will be determined next week. But basically, yeah, so Florida has an outside chance to make champs. I'm not the biggest fan of that chance, though. Like, Florida's going to have a deep run in the tournament, which, to be fair, they are in the winner's bracket. So, but then again, you've got the thing is, once you're in the winner's bracket, you've got some big sharks there too, right? Like, and but then you drop down to losers. But then at that point, then you're getting some teams that can be fighting for their lives, right? So, not the biggest fan of Florida's path to making champs, but Legion and Rocker, this is going to be very, very close this weekend and next weekend. This is going to be down to the wire, and even Breach is a little bit iffy there too. Minnesota, of course, this week made a very interesting change. They decided to bench Afro, which is extremely confusing to me, among other things.
Yeah.
They decided to bench Afro in favor of Attach, which is not how that works. That would be like, I'm not even. I'm just trying to. That would
Just think of
be.
any dumb managerial move in sports history.
But
It's
like,
like that.
it doesn't even make sense. It'd be like benching Tom Brady for Leonard Fournette. It'd be like that's not how that works. Like they're not now. Okay,
Well,
fine. Yes, people move around, so okay, it's not
yeah,
that. But like
it's
it's
more like
still.
basketball, but it's yeah, you're right. You have to kind of shift the roles around. So the rumor is that Fame will jump over to an SMG. He's obviously been playing in that, AR flex role since he's been on the team, and he's looked good in that role. And Attach will take over, I guess, main AR duties. I don't know. He'll have an AR. Cammy will have an AR. Fame will have an SMG. Vance will have an SMG. So they're shuffling some things around. I don't know if it's like just a temporary thing for this week. If they're gonna go, all right, we're gonna try it this week. If it looks bad, we'll throw Afro back in, or maybe they shuffle it again before the major. I really don't
But
know.
like
I mean,
and as we just discussed, you're 10 points up on the team right behind you. Now,
right?
fine. At this exact moment, you have one more game than them, but like you have to get into the winners bracket here to, like, if Legion gets into the winners bracket, and to be fair, they have a not horrible matchup where Minnesota has basically two not great matchups this weekend. So I did vaguely have Vegas as favorite to make the winners bracket at this point. Actually, probably should be substantial
Yeah,
favorites to make the winners bracket. But that if that's where you're sitting here, is that really the time to be like, all right, let's completely change everything? Because like that's clearly the issue here. Like,
yeah. It's a weird thing to do. I don't know. If you're Minnesota, like I'm good either way. Like, if you want to stick with this team because they have experience together, like, okay. I just feel like if you're doing that, your goal is like, all right, well, we'll just make champs and then we'll see what happens from there. If you can shuffle it around a little bit, maybe you can find something to spark your, crazy champs run or whatever it might be. Either way, it's not good for them. They're not going to win champs even if they make it. It's just not going to happen. And same thing for Vegas. Like, even if Vegas goes on a little run, jumps Rocker, they get the 8th seed, like they're gonna run into problems in champs. Like they're the 8th best team, and this year that just doesn't mean much, at least
yeah.
in terms of what I see.
Well,
So
I mean,
we'll
this
yeah.
is the thing. You hinted at it. Right now, that means that you're either running. Actually, yeah, I'll call it up exactly. But at this exact second, say nothing changes in the standings, which to be fair, it may or may not. You never know. But at this point, cool. Guess what? You're playing phase round one, right? So power to you. Have fun. Good luck. Have
Yeah, good
fun.
luck. We just saw FaZe versus Legion and it
Yeah.
was not pretty.
And
Yeah.
then, oh, okay, so let's say FaZe trips up in the major. Let's say Optic gets their major win. They're only 15 points behind FaZe. So let's say okay, cool. Now you're playing Optic, an arguably more scary team.
Yeah, maybe the hottest team in the game right
Yeah,
now
so
who
good.
yeah.
Good luck, have fun. Right? Like, and this is the thing. And then it's like, oh, say you pass Buster Breach. Okay, well, then you're playing one of those two teams. Because Toronto's at 265 because they had a couple of rough weeks there. So Toronto, I mean, theoretically probably could catch top spot, but I mean, they'll try to, but like they probably won't be able to because FaZe will go deep enough in the tournament, and Optic would also probably go deep enough in the tournament that it won't matter in Major 5. But like, I mean, okay, cool, fine, you're playing Ultra. That's the same basically. Like, I'm not really like, oh man, we're playing Ultra instead of Texas. Well, now I'm so much happy. Like, no, it's all bad. Like, none of these are good outcomes. And then again, you're falling into losers immediately, and okay, fine, maybe you can beat up on a losers bracket team, but then eventually one of the Sharks is going to fall. Eventually a Thieves or a FaZe or a Optic or a Toronto is going to fall, and then you're gone. Because you can't compete with that. Now they have sometimes compete with that firepower, but literally they played FaZe and got swept, right? I think they did beat Ultra, or they took Ultra to a 5, but like no, sorry, they took Optic to a game 5. Okay, cool, good for you, but like they still lost the game 5, and like Optic did some really weird things in some of those games, and they probably Optic should have probably won that 3-1. It took a miracle. It's a miracle every time Legion wins a control. It's a miracle. So again, just praying is not the best strategy here. But anyways, again, like people are like, I mean, great. Either Minnesota or Legion is going to go to champs in the 8th seed. Good. Congratulations. Hang the banner. You're about to get immediately destroyed by the first ranked team, right? So, yeah, it's not good. It is not good for some of these teams. Some of these teams are in trouble, and it's yeah, good luck. Good luck, have fun to whichever team comes in 8th place, because the top teams are the top teams, and again, and you can even see it in the standings, right? There is a very clear line. FaZe 325, Optic 310, Ultra 265, Thieves 255, Subliners 245, Seattle 190. There's a line there. There's a giant gap between the top 5 teams and then the bottom rest of the league, basically. And if you're not one of those top five, and I actually argue that the only reason Ultra isn't closer to the top, and the only reason, because Thieves had a couple, I think I had a rough major and an Ultra did too. The only reason it's even the top 5 and not a top 4 or top 3 is just because subliners have been relatively consistently okay through every major. They haven't been amazing, but I think they did, actually no, they did win a major, but like they haven't been like amazing outside of those. They've just been consistently okay, and
Yeah, they've been all over the place with like they did win Major 1. I want to say they finished top 8 at Major 2, then top 12 at Major 3 before they finished in 4th last Major. So it's been a roller coaster with
yeah,
them.
but like they're
And yeah,
just
that's been a lot of the teams this year though. So it's tough. All you can kind of hope for if you're in that like 3, 4, 5, 6 range is you just get hot at the right time. You right you look like Thieves did last year and you just have the game figured out and you get hot and you can't stop winning. Right now that team looks like Optic, but that could still change. There's still a lot of COD to be played with this week, the major next week, and then obviously the big gap before champs starts. So
yeah.
yeah, we're at the end, but even still, there's a lot of things that have to shake out, and we're here to try to break it down because that's
Yes.
our job.
Yes, we are. All right, so let's get started with this. Again, the last games of the regular season. Friday, 3 o'clock, Florida versus Ravens. Man, just amazing.
Get it
Florida.
out of the way.
Florida. Again, see, this is the thing now. We're at this point now where, like, some of these games are like, just God, why is this happening? But, like, it just has to happen, right? Like, Florida has to play some games. Actually, Florida's been, like, not bad, but, like, they argue probably shouldn't have been thieves. Anyways, Florida, -1.5, -120. Expectations on Florida here.
Yeah.
London +1.5, -110. Florida -315 on the money line. Ravens +215. Over 4.5, +175. Under 4.5, -230. God, man, we're just we're starting off the weekend with a bang here. I don't know. I actually weirdly have I priced the -1.5 at -158. I don't know. A bottom 4 team against another bottom 4 team and getting 30 points of sorry, 40 basis points of value isn't, it's not getting me up every morning. I'll say that. Um, I don't know. Florida's probably better at hard point. You're getting a 31.5 point spread. That's pretty not bad. 27.5 on Bet365. That's not horrible. Um, yeah, I mean, again, this is one of the ones where you could just be like, cool, I think London is bad at hard point, so I'm just gonna bet Florida minus hard point spread, and like maybe Florida minus map spread, and then call it a day. Like, and maybe -1, throw something on. Like, I am not laying -315. Not a chance at all.
Yeah,
That's
no, I
not happening. But like maybe throw something on the -1.5, maybe minus hard point spread, and then be like, cool. That's I am going to watch this, and then maybe something on the -1.5, -1.5 +155 in the control. London is not particularly good at control. They seem to have given up as a team. I mean, not being
yeah.
eliminated from champs will do that, but like just in general, the team seems just like we're done. We're just decidedly done here. What's the -3 and what's the -2.5? 275. That's not even good. God, that's not even a good price. Why do they? Wow, that's so sad. Fine. Yeah, just those lines. Just a couple pieces here. What do you have on this one?
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of love to London in this spot, but not enough for me to get interested in it. All the points you make with Florida are great, and right, it is something to mention that like London is officially done, right? Like they cannot go further than this weekend and whatever they do at Major 5. It'll be over after that. We'll see what the org does in the off season, but Florida's at least still fighting for something, and they haven't locked up a winners bracket start yet. So you get this third win over London, you should get winners bracket. And then from there, maybe you can get lucky, make some noise, go on a run, and somehow capture the 8 seed. It's very unlikely, but they're not dead yet. So they're going to keep fighting their butts off, probably, which goes to maybe they're a little overpriced here for that reason. I think of it similarly to like an NFL week 7 or week 18 spread, I suppose, where you have a team that they win and they're in the playoffs, or they win and they, jump from a wild card to a division winner, whatever it might be. And you have a team that's fighting for the number one pick and they're playing each other. And it's like, okay, well, the team that is a severe underdog gets mispriced even worse because they have no motivation and the other team does. When actually, in reality, like that team that is worse off is better at covering the spread and does win a surprising amount of those games because, I mean, they have nothing to lose, that sort of rhetoric. So if you're London, that's you in this position, right? Like you have nothing to lose. They'd love to spoil Florida's day and keep them in the basement with them. So there's that angle to play with it. And also, I will say, if you are interested in London, like I'm just making a case for London just to make one, but the plus 1.5 at minus 110, I don't think is horrible. London throughout the year have been like not good at anything, but their like calling card has been hard point, I would say. Their control is atrocious. Their search is absolutely the worst. Um, so yeah, if London loses, I could see it going to a game 5. And if that's the case, they'll cover and get that minus 110. It's not enough for me to get interested. And again, not a great game, so I'm probably not watching it anyway, but just to throw a dart if you want to at London, that would be my argument. Have them cover the map and a half and be on your way, but yeah, other than that, not a ton of interest in this one.
It's just so you and if again shopping around, you can get London plus 1.5 at plus 100 on Bet365. So shop
Perfect.
around a bit, but like
Yeah.
even then, it's still just like
Yeah, just be
I
prepared to lose because
I'm
it's
so
London.
iffy on Florida with expectation. Like I don't like, and again, this is one of the things that I definitely carry over to from betting college football and the NFL. When you're with like some bad teams and and suddenly there's expectations. Like for example, when it's like, oh, here's two of the worst teams in the league and one's minus 7.5, you're like, not a chance. Like no, like that's not happening. Like you're like, oh, I think this team that's horrible is 7.5 points better than this other team that's horrible. Like, no, that's not how football works. Like that's and again, the same as in COD, right? Like I don't trust either of these teams to cover a minus one because the thing is you have to win a game and you have to keep that focus and you have to beat but like I don't I'm not sure if I see London being it now somehow London beat FaZe in a control. I'm not sure how that happened. I didn't watch it. Um but they did somehow.
It was just defenses. So that was a hotel control, London, which is a map that offense defense is pretty split on. But yeah, London's defense looked solid. And it's not like FaZe is like a juggernaut at control. So yeah, they
They're
just went
not, yeah.
defense round 1, defense round 3, defense round 5, and that was it. So yeah, a little bit of a surprise in that specific game mode, but not the craziest result when you like dig deep into the nitty gritty of that one specific map. So
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I you just don't. Maybe I just won't bet on this. I don't know. I don't know. I'll think about. It's either for me. It's probably Florida or no bet, but we'll see. I could be. I might just not bet this. Next up, Thieves versus Minnesota. This is. I mean, you mentioned this to me before we started. This is probably one of the worst prices I've ever seen. Like one of the most mispriced games. But the problem is that that means nothing if you don't win, right? So Thieves versus Rocker. Thieves minus 2.5 plus 130. Rocker plus 2.5 minus 170. Thieves minus a ridiculous minus 1,200 on the money line. Rocker plus 600, which that's not how math works, by the way. That's not how odds are supposed to work. Um, it's not supposed to be minus 1,200 plus 600. But apparently, the books are
I mean,
just
the
like,
further you get from even money, the more drastic the odds conversion is. So
yeah, but
even
not
though it
that.
looks horrible, I mean, I would say the overall win probability assigned to each team is probably close to any other spread. It just looks really bad when you lengthen it out like that. But
No,
yeah,
that plus 600 should be like a plus 800. Like that, they're like, we don't care. They're like, go ahead. Like they're just like, this is them saying we think these are gonna win, but if Minnesota wins, we're not giving you anything. That's
yeah,
what they're
fair.
saying here, and I think that's actually pretty fair. Over 3.5 minus 155, under 3.5 plus 120. Why would you bet Rocker plus 2.5 minus 170 when you can just bet over 3.5 minus 155? What is it saying? There's a 15 basis point chance of like a Minnesota sweep. That's a
Yeah, that's not
that's
happening. Although, I mean, this Thieves team doesn't look great lately. But yeah, you're right. Anytime you get like the minus 2.5 as the default spread, the over under 3.5 always looks weird when you compare it to the minus 2.5 plus
mhm.
2.5. So yeah, I mean, you could go that route, absolutely. But I don't know. Yeah, what do you think about? I mean, obviously, it's a pretty big price discrepancy
Yeah.
between these two teams.
Well, so
So do
there.
you have a lean?
Yeah, I mean, again, you're looking at massive, like minus 1,200, which I'm. What is that even? What? There's a
It's like a
number.
92% about.
Yeah, they don't even
Yeah.
have. Okay, plus six. So plus 600. Plus 600 corresponds to 14% chance.
Yes.
So they're not even. And yeah, minus 500 is
It's
83.
about it's about a 6% hold on the money line, which is about right. Like if you look at another game that's minus 115, minus 115, that's about a 53-54% versus a 53-54%. Again,
I guess. Okay.
106%, 6% hold. So yeah, it looks really bad when it's stretched out to minus 1200 plus 600, but
The numbers
you
do
do the
kind of
math
line
on
up,
it,
I
it
guess.
it works out. Yeah.
So, I mean, all that being said, I've got like Minnesota like 26% chance to win. Now the problem is though that when you look game by game, I've got Thieves favored in game 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I got Thieves favored in every single game. But I still have Minnesota with like a 26% chance to win. I've got the Minnesota plus 1.5 priced at plus 128. What is the plus 1.5 priced at? 230. Wow. Okay, there is value there at plus one
Yeah.
and a half to get this to a game 5. But like it's weird though, right? Like I've got Thieves as a way better hardpoint team. Now I think that's mostly just because of what happened with Legion, but Legion again does weird things at different times. So whatever. You can't really be like, well, Legion was bad at hardpoint and they beat Rocker, so therefore like what my model is saying is okay, Legion's bad at hardpoint and they crushed Rocker, so that means therefore Thieves are really like that means that like Rocker's really bad, but like well Legion is extremely inconsistent, right? And Thieves, we have lots of questions and marks about Thieves. Thieves lost to Florida in like game 1 and map 1 and 4, right? So their point isn't particularly great either at this point. So I the one I will say I do like the plus 1.5 map 2 and the plus 1.5 map 3, but outside of that, it's just like maybe you can take. I mean, the problem is if anything's gonna cash is the plus 2.5. Maybe the plus 1.5 caches. I don't know. But like it's this is such a weird map where it's like I think thieves are better in every single game, but like when you collectively, because like again it's like okay they're better in every game, but it's like I think they're only like 60% chance to win this game and 55% chance to win this game, right? And then when you sum all that probability up, it's like 26. So basically your minus 2.5 bet at whatever that price is plus 130, that's you're functionally stringing together a bunch of like even money lines, which is not good. That's not how you're supposed to do this. I don't know, there's value on the plus 600. Maybe I throw something on it. I don't know, Minnesota is kind of feeling the pinch here. um I don't know, maybe they do something. I don't know, it's very weird. I don't know where they came up with this price from. Maybe the book's wrong, right, and we're wrong. I don't know. I don't think so. Generally when we have a huge price discrepancy, usually we're correct. I mean, again, this isn't college football, right? Like if I have like some random like non-power 5 team against another one and I have a completely different number, I'll be like, you know, whatever, I'll trust the books here. I'm not like if they have like, oh, we think this team is 14 points better and I have the other team 21 points better, I'm not like, man, I'm running to the window for that one. But like there's 12 teams. We know all the teams. We know every single player here. I don't, and again, they're making a team change, right? Like you have to think that internally at least they think it makes sense, right? Like we can question it and we are questioning it and we actually just did question it off the top, but like you have to hope that at some point they know the people who are in charge of the team actually know what they're doing and are like this improves us and not makes us definitively worse, right? You have to hope at least that that happens, right? So yeah,
Yeah. One other
give
thing
me
I
rocker here, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree with you on all that stuff. One other thing I'd like to mention that's going against Rocker, right, is obviously so we talked about the roster change. In almost everybody's mind, it looks like a dumb move. I'm sure that has affected the price on this match. I would have loved to see what this match was a week ago when we assumed, the starting lineup had Afro in it and it didn't have attach, but that's not the case anymore, so the price had to have moved a ton just based on that. One other thing that is important to consider is these teams have faced multiple times against each other this year. It's been thieves all day, every day when these teams just go at it. It's like a sweep almost every time, I think. Maybe that is priced into it a little bit, that just recent history favors thieves by a ton. And I get all that. I will say, right, you're catching thieves at a really good time if you're Rocker. And maybe that's the reason to make the team changes. Listen, we tried it against these guys with this lineup. It did not work. We weren't even close. Let's try something different. And heck, maybe Rocker changed their lineup back before their Toronto match later in the weekend because they think that lineup has a better chance to beat Toronto. I don't know. They're trying stuff, so at least there's that. The problem with Rocker is they always try stuff when it's too late in the year and not preseason or earlier in the year. Anyway, regardless, Rocker is a screaming value to me. My favorite is the plus 1.5. I've got that priced as a 50-50 basically. Like LA Thieves to win in 3 or 4 is the same odds as Rocker winning the series or just forcing a map 5. So to me, plus 230 on that is just immense value. Obviously, you bake in the fact that Rocker are going through some changes. Maybe you bring down their odds slightly, but even still, plus 230 is too good to pass up for me. So maybe, hopefully, this is the match that Rocker don't get swept, can at least force the game 5 against these guys. Because if there's a time to do it, it seems like now when Thieves are 0-3, against 3 winnable opponents. They haven't played FaZe yet, they haven't played Optic yet. It was a loss to Florida last week. That looks really bad. The week prior, it was 2 quality opponents in Toronto and New York. But I mean, that Toronto series looked really ugly. The New York one they could have won but did not, and then the Florida one was just a shock last week. So I mean, if you're Thieves, again, you can argue the other way that, okay, you're 0-3, but you're catching Rocker this week, and that's a great way to bounce back. But their price is way, way too steep for me. So I'm with you. I like Rocker, specifically the plus 1.5. But if you'd rather go money line, you can totally justify it. If you'd rather, take some of that cost and put it into the plus 2.5 and protect yourself a little bit, but have a smaller payout, that makes sense too. For me personally, I'm just hoping that they can split through 4 maps, and I think that's a real possibility. Control, like Rocker, have a chance to win that, absolutely. Hardpoint, Thieves have slipped up there recently, so maybe Rocker could catch them there. And LA Thieves have been pretty inconsistent in Search and Destroy all year, so there's a lot of different ways Rocker could get there, and that's part of the reason why I like him here. Um, Obviously, a lot of unknowns. It's scary, but when the price is this good, you just got to take it. So that's where I sit. Completely unbiased opinion, even though I am a Rocker fan. But yeah, they probably will lose, but hopefully it's in a game 5. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I um I think so too. But yeah, it's such a weird one, and I'm weird being this different from the books, but we'll have to see how it goes. 6 o'clock, Seattle versus Subliner. Seattle Surge versus Subliners on Friday evening, night, whatever. Seattle plus 155 on the plus 1.5 minus 155. Subliners minus 1.5 plus 120. Seattle plus 146 on the money line. Subliners minus 200. Over 4.5 plus 150. Under 4.5 minus 200. So, God, I mean, this is just, you don't even want to deal with this, right? Like, it's so iffy. I mean, I've got minus 233 on the money line. It's minus 200. I've got minus 1.5 priced at 106. I'm getting plus 120 for subliners, of course. Like, I've got subliners favored about 70% of the time, but like, it's such an iffy matchup that I'm just like, what do you even want to do? Like, this is the thing. It's just like, it's so iffy. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah,
Like, you just have to you have to just leave this alone. Like, the problem with this is Surge, right? Like, the numbers are correct, but the problem is Surge is so up and down. They were like horrible for the first two games, then they beat a Boston team that's like somewhat resurgent, and then all of a sudden it's like, cool, now you're getting subliners. And like, are they going to be good? I don't know. Are they going to be bad? I don't know. Maybe, probably, right? But we have literally no idea what this team is going to do until we see them on the stage. Well, they're not actually on stage. Until we see them in the lobby, we have no idea if this team decides to be good or bad on Friday, right? And I just don't think you can bet on this team and say, yeah, no, 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 this is I want to put my money on this Surge team, or even put my money against this Surge team, because they could be like, oh, we're good today. We're gonna be the good Seattle Surge today. Or on the flip side, you could be like, no, it's gonna be the bad Seattle Surge team this today, right? So yeah, it's a very weird game. I don't think this is bettable, honestly. I would not touch this. I don't think I
I
want to touch this at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. Until we see a map set, I think for this, it's just a complete stay away for me. This is priced almost spot on. I've got New York as a 63% favorite. And you look at a minus 200, that would be about a 66% break even. So yeah, small disadvantages on both sides. So nothing I really like. And you're right to have that feeling of just like, I don't know what to think. So control is something I talk about a lot. It's a very important game mode for many reasons, but Seattle are the only team who has not played Expo Control yet, and that's just a big unknown going into every series they play is will they let that map through and will it get played? How will they look on it? And on the flip side, New York have only played it twice and they were 1-1 in those matches. They've been outscored in those two matches and round count. And I believe one of those losses was to Legion, which doesn't look great. But it's just control is a big, big question mark for me. So if you just basically call that even for both teams, because I think that's all you can do at this point. Hard point between these two teams should be close. They've been pretty consistent at that mode all year, and then you obviously give the search and destroy edge to New York. Not a huge edge, but a sizable one that makes them the favorite, definitely. So that's where I am too. It's a total stay away. It should be a great game, probably the best of Friday. So probably why they put it in the third slot of the day. So yeah, this is one I'll definitely be watching. Not sure if I'll have any action on it, but one to keep an eye on. If the map set does get revealed before the match starts, maybe you could take like a hard point spread on one side if it's a significant map advantage for that team. Like I'm trying to think. So like New York, for instance, according to my numbers, are the best Zarqua hydroelectric team in hardpoint. Seattle are the fourth best. Now, that's still pretty close, but you'd obviously favor New York. If the map spread is pretty close, maybe you put something on New York. On the flip side, Seattle are pretty good across the board. Their best map is Fortress, where they're second in the league. New York are sixth, according to my numbers. So Maybe if it's a fortress map one, you go with Seattle. So that's the one way you can play it, in my opinion, is just wait and see on the maps. If the map set shows something that you like, then you can take some action. But otherwise, I would just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show because I think it's going to be a great match either way. A lot of star players on both teams, Pred, Hydra, accuracy and Mac and all those wonderful players. But yeah, no. In all seriousness, good game, but just let it go and watch it on Twitch or YouTube or wherever, and just see what happens.
Yeah. Moving on to Saturday here. First matchup, we got Legion, their only game of the weekend, and guess what? They're playing Surge too. Legion plus 1.5 minus 175, Surge minus 1.5 plus 135, minus 115 both ways on the money line, over 4.5 plus 140, under 4.5 minus 185. Again, it's just, I mean, I've actually got value on Legion here. I've got them about 70% favored, but again, this is going to directly determine, have a huge impact as to what happened when we just saw from Seattle. Is Seattle good or not, right? And there's a huge question mark there as to whether or not they're actually good or not, right? Like, they could go out there and get absolutely destroyed by subliners. As a matter of fact, what is the minus 2.5 for their subliner? Minus 2.5 is plus 333. Honestly, there's probably value in the minus 2.5 because Surge could just go out and get absolutely pasted by subliners. And then they play Legion, and they could sweep Legion. Like, we have no idea what this team is. This team is so maddeningly inconsistent. You have no idea what to expect from this team from one week or another, 1 week to another, one day to another. Right? It's so frustrating to see from this team. I don't know. I'd maybe throw something on the Legion money line. I've Legion better in hardpoint a little bit, so I'm getting 14.5. I'll take that. 24.5 in game 4. That's wrong. I don't know. It's just I don't even know. What do you have this year? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? What do you think about this?
Yeah, this is one I'm on the other side on as well. So, despite not really having an opinion on Seattle versus New York, I do think Seattle is a decent value against Legion in this spot. Not huge. Again, not really a match I'm looking to target. But I don't know. When you break down the numbers to me, Seattle is the superior hardpoint team. I know you had Legion as the best, but or not the best, but better than Seattle. That does surprise me a little bit, just considering Seattle's been pretty successful in that mode throughout the year. I do know Legion are coming on stronger as we go down the stretch in hardpoint specifically, but I still do think Seattle are the better team in that mode. You go to Search and Destroy, completely different story. Vegas are quite good, Seattle's quite bad. And then Control is very interesting, right? Legion have improved in that mode quite a bit lately, and it's all based off of Himmelmat Expo. They've played it 4 times, which doesn't sound like much, but it's actually one of the more played maps for a team because that map hasn't been available for that long. They played it 4 times. They're 3-1 on that. I want to say their one loss was a round 5 loss, so even that was pretty close. Their other maps, 4-10 on Hotel, 1-10 on El Asilo. Their one win on El Asilo coming against Optic not too long ago, I think, in this stage. So maybe that's getting better, but still, it's an atrocious record on those other 2 maps. And again, Seattle have yet to play Expo. I don't know if they would want to try to play it against Legion because that's Legion's only good control map. So I really do think Legion are going to have to square up on Hotel or El Asilo, and I give Seattle a huge edge on either of those maps. So that's the one thing with Legion is that I worry a lot of their recent success has been because that one map has entered the map pool, and so far teams have been willing to play them on that. I think eventually that will stop because teams will go, well, if you play them on another map, they have, 5 wins and 20 losses or whatever it comes out to. So eventually that'll end. As a Rocker fan, I hope that ends. So please, Seattle, don't pull any tricks. Just veto Expo Control. get the control win, take care of business in hard point, and I think Seattle can get this done in a 3-1 fashion. Again, unbiased opinion. That's what my numbers say as well. So, as a Rocker fan, I'm hoping Legion lose, but the model also likes Seattle ever so slightly. Again, not one that I have a strong conviction on, but one that I would lean with Seattle. And their match against Boston was good to see after coming off a weekend where they lost 2 games. Granted, they played Toronto and Optic in week 1. Didn't look good, but those 2 teams are fantastic. So good to see that they were able to take care of business against a team kind of in their same tier in Boston Breach and do it pretty comfortably. Um, so yeah, we'll see. A interesting weekend for Seattle, right? You have New York on Friday, quick turnaround to play Legion on Saturday. Still not the easiest 2 matches in the world, so a tough stage 5 qualifiers for Surge. We'll see if they can make some noise maybe in the major, even if they start in losers bracket. But in terms of this specific game, yeah, I'll lean with Seattle.
Yeah, I I mean, I can't really disagree with that. It's just I can't even I cannot in good conscience go with Seattle, and I also can't in good conscience go with Vegas. So, uh, moving on to 4:30, Florida versus Optic again. Barn burner here. Florida plus 1.5 plus 130. Optic minus 1.5 minus 170. Florida plus 295 on the money line. Optic minus 450. Over 3.5 minus 230. Under 3.5 plus 175. Very weird. Like I don't like I
Yep.
yeah I've got like Optic with a 95% chance to win this year. Like
Yeah.
95 to 5. Huge advantage in every game mode. Is Optic only giving 38.5 points? I've got them 48 points better. They're way better in search. The minus 1.5. Is this all respect from Florida beating Thieves? I think Florida just plays up.
I guess, yeah, it really does feel to me like the books are respecting Florida way too much just off of that they're 2-1 so far this stage. Like that's a very small sample size. Yes, they've won 2 of those 3, but I mean this is a whole nother animal. So it sounds like I'm with you on this one, but is there a specific way that you target Optic? Like would you go all out to the -2.5 or just bring it back to the minus
I
one and a
mean,
half?
the minus 2.5 is only at plus 220. I've got plus 295. So because the thing is, I do have Florida as better in control. So like I am actually that's some value right there. They could win it though, but I'm not loving the minus. I'm not loving plus 220. I do love hardpoint. I do love hardpoint spread. I do love search spread. If that wasn't mine, if that was minus 160 or minus 150, I'd be all over it. But at minus 170, that's a tad high. Uh, but I mean, you could target a couple of different spreads there with Optic, and I think you could be there. I mean, maybe you just lay the minus 170 because I could see Florida winning, but the thing is, you don't with minus 170, you're laying a lot of money there though. That's the problem, right? Like you're laying $28. No,
34 to
34.
win 20 if you want
34
to
to
do
win.
that.
34 to win 20. That's not fun. That's not bad
Yeah.
though, but it's not fun.
I mean, it's a clear, I mean, lopsided affair to say the least. I mean, one thing I will say, I'm in agreement with you. I think the -1.5 is a better bet than the
Yeah.
-2.5. The value just isn't quite there. Yeah, when you look specifically at how game 2 and game 3 might go, maybe optics slip up there. But hardpoint is such a discrepancy that it's very likely optic take both game 1 and game 4. In which case, you just got to win game 2 or game 3 to get that -1.5 to cash. And it's not a great price, right? -170 isn't the best thing in the world, but value is value. And if you have such a lopsided affair like this one, it's hard not to like look at that and just be like, that's a secure investment to make. It's not, it's not like investing in Apple in 1995 or whatever that would be. It's not going to be a rocket ship to the moon, but it's just a nice secure asset to have. So to me, that's how I'm viewing it is just Florida's getting a little bit too much respect. And actually, it might be best to wait. Florida play London Friday, first match of the day. If they come out with the W in that match, which is likely to happen, maybe the optic price comes down a little bit and you get a better payout for this match. The problem is, right, like optic money comes in all the time, no matter what. So even if Florida looked great on Friday, maybe the match line for this doesn't move at all. On the flip side, sometimes sportsbooks are lazy, and Florida could lose to London in a surprising fashion, and the optic price doesn't budge because again, sportsbooks can be lazy sometimes. And now the minus 170 looks even more secure. So that would be how I would play it. I mean, you can talk me into taking it now, waiting and seeing what happens. But either way, to me, Optic is the absolute right side of this match. It's just kind of personal preference if you want to go all the way to a minus 2.5 to get the bigger payout. I lean more toward the minus 1.5 just because that hard point is so secure. And then obviously the money line is a little too steep for my liking at minus 450. Yeah, that's just way too high in really any match. So yeah, I'm with you here with Optic. And this for them is also to go 5-0 in the stage. And, right, they're still fighting for the 1 seed for champ. So any wins they can get are good. They're going to fight for everything in this match. They're not going to take their foot off the gas. So yeah, you're going to get a motivated Optic team. You're probably going to get a motivated Mutineers team, but either way, Optic are much better, obviously. So take Optic.
Yeah.
Long story short, take the good team.
Take the good team. Yes, I think that's that could be the alternative name for the podcast. LAG versus Toronto. LAG plus 2.5 minus 115. Not a lot of love for the LAG, which is completely warranted. The lack of love is warranted. Ultra minus 2.5 minus 115. LAG plus 850 on the money line. Ultra minus 1800. Over 3.5 minus 115. Under 3.5. See, there you go. Under 3.5 minus 115. There you go. That's priced correctly. The under over 3.5 and the minus 2.5. Those are priced correctly because they should be opposing each other. So basically, this is saying there's a 0% chance of an LAG 3-0, which yeah, it's kind of accurate.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not good. I
Ass. Yeah, it's bad.
I got I've priced the minus 2.5 at plus 130, so minus 115. I'm not lining up at 3 a.m. for that. Uh, jeez, the hard point spread's minus 52.5. I think that's too big, but like they could win that. I don't know. The minus 1.5 at minus 130 is a little too rich for my blood, but they are better at that than them. Ooh, I like this. Control Ultra minus 2.5 plus 150. There you go. There's your bet in this game. Oh, no, oh, sorry. Oh, it's control. Oh, so thing is sweep is plus 150, not minus 1.5. My bad. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
you got to win 3-0, which yeah, it depends on the map that gets played. If it's El Asilo, that's a definite no for me. But if I mean Toronto are 15-4 on hotel control, and that map is very conducive to having offensive round wins. I'd also maybe wait and see how Toronto play defense offense. Like you'd prefer they play defense first if you want them to get a sweep
yeah.
in control. Um, yeah, it's an interesting map pool we have now for control because that was pretty popular last year. Like the difference between Gavutu and Tuscan control in terms of just the amount of rounds you can expect from control. Like if you got Gavutu, it was almost a guarantee round 5 every time they played. And this map set, it's a little more 50-50 on defense offense, which is just good in terms of viewership. Like we don't have Fortress anymore because that was so defensive favored. So yeah, I mean if you want to get crazy with Toronto and like take some really severe, like if you want to go minus 2.5, if you want to go minus 2.5 specifically in control or in hard point. I mean Toronto to me are maybe the best hard point team in the game despite their win percentage. Like when they win, they beat up on teams. So I'm not necessarily shying away from a huge map spread like that. The one thing I worry about with Toronto is just their search and destroy. Not saying LA Gorillas have a good search and destroy, but it's been the one mode where Toronto have been a little up and down throughout the year. They're still fine, but I could totally see an LAG, 6-5 win map 2 because it's their map pick and Toronto come out a little slow or for whatever reason. So that's why I'm shying away from anything really in this. The -2.5 for Toronto at -115, not quite there for me. And just considering like Toronto look good, but they don't look like a team that's absolutely on fire right now when you just look at their game against Optic last weekend. So, yeah, to me, very lopsided. Toronto should win this. It should be a sweep, but maybe not. So that's just why I'm shying away from this. But yeah, I've got
Yeah,
this as a 92-8 matchup. So good luck,
90
LAG.
93 to 7 for me.
All right, pretty
Yeah.
close.
The thing of it is, I'd bet something Toronto here, but betting -52.5 hard point spreads. It's against my religion. I'm sorry. This is I can't do
That's fine.
it.
That's fine.
No, I mean, but seriously, like there's a certain point when it's just the number is just too big, and it's like, could they cover it? Yes. Do I want to be part of it? No. Like that's the thing, right? Like could they beat them by 50? Yeah, but the model doesn't like it. My model thinks that Toronto's. So it's weird because the model has game one as 250 to 226, and then it has game four as 250 to 184. So it's saying Toronto is possibly capable of beating them in a hard point, but it's saying LAG usually puts up a good effort in game one. But like, do I feel confident enough to bet them plus 50? No, I'm not. I'm not
Well,
doing that.
here's just one other thing I'll say about this, just because I mean we have very little interest in this with Toronto, like how this could be a sweep and why I like them so much in Hardpoint. So Toronto's one map that they're a little shaky on, I would say, in Hardpoint is Embassy. They've played it only 7 times this year, by far the least, or I guess tied with Hydro. But 3 and 4 win loss for them. For LAG, that's the one map where they have above 500 record on. They're 7-6, and I think it's their most played. Yeah, it is their most played hardpoint map. So if Toronto just play this veto process straight up, we don't see Embassy. We're gonna see any other map, and I don't know. To me, Toronto just severely outclasses LAG in all 4 of those maps. So again, just advocating for anyone who wants to take a side in this. If you're gonna just go Toronto in any way, shape, or form, I don't know. I get if LAG are that scrappy team, right? It's the same argument I made with Florida versus London. Like LAG have nothing to lose, so they might come out really loose. Maybe Toronto um, play a weird map veto process, and all of a sudden LAG stumble into a map win, maybe two. Who knows? But yeah, overall, not a match I'm really interested in watching, taking any action on, anything like that. But just fully expect Toronto to take care of business.
Yeah, I I agree with that. 4 matches left in the regular season. Phase versus Breach. Phase -1.5, -105. Breach +1.5, -125. Phase -325 on the money line. Breach +230. Over 4.5, +165. Under 4.5, -220. I actually favor Phase's massive favorites here, except weirdly I have Phase as like I have Breach winning the control 3-0, so that's kind of weird. Um, but yeah, Phase 94% chance to win, but Breach. I guess it's because Phase lost the control to London, and they were just like, "Oh, you're bad at control then."
Yeah.
Um, what is the 3-0 price? Let's see here. 280. I could take that. I think that the model is overreacting to that, and Phase is going to practice control. They're like, we're never gonna let that happen again. The thing is, what did Breach do last week?
They
They
played Seattle. It
and
was their one
lost.
match, and they lost 1-3.
That was
Yep.
it, right? So the Vivid for Nero swap, maybe not the greatest play ever. Yeah, I kind of love all of the phase spreads. 24.5 in the hard point, and in the hard point, that's pretty good. -1.5, -155, that's a little steep for me. No, wait, no, wait. Boston played another team and they beat them. Florida, that's right, they beat
They played.
Florida.
Yeah, they played twice, I believe. In or the or no, you're right. You're right. You're right. They played twice last week. Won one, lost one. The week before they beat Minnesota in Minnesota. So yes, you're right. They played twice.
They beat a Florida team that the books apparently think are good. Oh, and that's why. So man, the books must just be massively upweighting the Florida beating Thieves result. Then they're just like, well, clearly that team's good, so then clearly Boston's good because they beat the good Florida team. That's not a good Florida team. Yeah, just every phase spread here. Phase minus 1.5 plus 190 in the control. Sure, take that. I don't care. Just do it. It's it's fun. This is called gambling for a reason. No, I mean, but seriously though, like I don't trust this Boston team. FaZe is gonna get back to form and just straight up crush someone, and that's probably what we're looking at here. I don't know what is happening with Boston. They keep change every couple weeks. They do a team change. They haven't been particularly doing well this year. FaZe lost the control to London, but that doesn't mean they're suddenly bad at control. I mean, they destroyed London in the first two games. In the hard point and the search, I believe they just destroyed London. So yeah, give me FaZe here and give me them by a lot, and maybe even sprinkle a little on the minus 2.5. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a stay away for me. I don't know. It's priced pretty accurately. I have FaZe as a 70% favorite, Boston as a 30% underdog. I have both teams pretty close in the hard point and in the control. So I think if you see two hard points, they probably split. Control a big question mark. I would really have to wait to see the map set if I'm gonna take a strong side here. So on the year, FaZe are 20-20 in control, which I would say is probably worse than if you just asked a random fan who doesn't follow the stats as closely, like, what's FaZe's win percentage in control games this year? They'd probably say, like, I don't know, 60%, just a ballpark guess. And it's like, no, they're 50%. They win half of them, they lose half of them. And, like, their map pool isn't, it's just weird. Like, Hotel, they're 12-11 on, by far their most popular map. El Asilo, they're 8-6 on, solid. And then Expo so far has been really bad for them. They're 0-3 so far. Boston Breach have only played that map once, but they won it. So there's that. So do FaZe want more reps on Expo because they have yet to win it? Maybe, and maybe they think they can beat Breach anyway, even if they lose the Expo control. But right, eventually, if you're FaZe, you get to a point where it's like, okay, we keep losing these Expo controls. We're good enough on the other two maps. Let's just make Expo our auto veto and control and move on. So I'm curious to see how FaZe handles that moving forward. I'm also curious to see how Boston handles it because they've only played it once and they won. It wasn't dominant by any means, but like they won, so that's good. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Control a big question mark in this series. That's why I have it like a 50-50 basically. And then obviously Atlanta, dominant search teams. That's what puts them over the top as substantial favorites in this game. So like most FaZe series, I have a FaZe 3-2 as the most likely option. Um, the -1.5 at -105, again, not great because Boston could take both hard points or a hard point and a control, something like that. So, yeah, stay away from me, but I don't know. You could talk me into any side. I really have no preference. Again, this might just be a sit back, relax, and enjoy the show kind of a game. See if Atlanta can keep up their winning. They went 2-0 last week, wins over Legion in London. Um, not the best opponents in the world, but dominant map count. I believe they were 6-1. Um, and then Boston, yeah, still working out the whole Vivid switch back in. So far 2-1 with the lineup. Uh, we'll see. Obviously, that's a small sample size, so they'll probably go through, this weekend and the major with that lineup, and then make a decision by champs as to what lineup they like. Um, so yeah, a lot of unknowns here. Control's a big question mark. Total stay away for me, but I do expect Atlanta to win this in a game 5 probably.
Yeah, I think it's game 4. That's why I'll take the -1.5. But I can see how it could go to a game 5. Now we are moving on to Sunday, the last day of the regular season. Minnesota versus Toronto. Minnesota +2.5, -135. So not a lot of respect here for the rocker here. Not in this weekend in general. Ultra -2.5 plus 105. Again, Toronto is like the spreads for Toronto's games are both -2.5. So like they're like there's like a I don't even know what the odds would be. It's like a 30 something percent chance that Toronto plays 6 maps this weekend, which is absurd.
Yeah.
Uh like a 30 it'd be like a 36% chance they play 2 maps this weekend. Minnesota plus 800 on the money line. Toronto minus 1800, over 3.5 minus 120, under 3.5 minus 110. That's weird. That's not the line looks a bit different, but that's okay. So this is basically saying there's like a fifth, no, 20, 25 basis point chance of Minnesota 3-0. So cool. It's better than the 0% chance of the. What was the? There was a number. Going back for a second, Toronto. So LAG 3-0. I have the odds of that as plus 16,567. What
Can
a
you put
just
that in terms of a percentage?
I don't even know what
Less
that.
than 1%, right?
Yeah, that's it's
Because
definitely
yeah,
less than 1%.
I had that at a 0.7% chance of happening. So, and that actually might be a little
A
high.
10,000 a 10,000% chance of 10. Oh, no, sorry. 10,000 a plus 10,000 is 1%. So this is now 16, so it's like maybe 0.8%
Yeah,
chance.
okay. So we're pretty much in lockstep
Yeah.
with an LAG sweep. That's
I
good to
know,
know.
for sure. I love that number though. They're just like the
Yeah.
exactly 16,567. The exact precision is just like no, it's not 16,566. It's 16,567. Anyway, um yeah, this game it's not particularly good. I have Toronto as I have basically Minnesota as a better shot than LAG, so there is some hope here, but not a lot of hope. I'd take Minnesota plus 2.5. I wouldn't be too happy with it, but I'd take it. I've got Toronto was way better in hardpoint, much better in search, and then a little better in control, which is about right. Again, can Minnesota fix their hardpoint? I mean, again, we liked Afro. We thought Afro was a good player. Apparently not. Apparently Attach is better. So I don't know. I am really concerned about this Minnesota team. Yeah, this could go really badly, or it could go really well. I don't know, but probably really badly. It's like it could go well, but it could also go really badly. And I think it's probably going to be the badly one, but we'll see. Like it's just the market expectations on this team are so low.
It's shockingly low. Like
Yeah,
it's just way
but
too
like
much for me.
I cannot feel like if I'm on my betting app on my phone or on my computer and I press enter on betting on Minnesota, I can't feel good about that. I'm not like, yes, this is a good decision. Like I can't right like I
I don't
like
know. But like another way to think about it, let's say you just take Minnesota plus 2.5 in both of their matches for one price for this game. That's minus 135, which isn't bad by any stretch. It's not plus money, but it's
no.
only minus 135. And in their first match, plus 2.5, minus 170 against an inferior team. Like, I mean, for those to both lose, like, okay, say only one of them wins, you're right. Like, you're down cash on the weekend for those bets. But if they just get one map out of both of those matches, like it just I don't know. To me, it's too good to pass up. Like the Minnesota LA Thieves map or match we talked about earlier, I actually do like the plus 1.5 for Rocker a little more. Um, just because the payout is a little nicer and the way the numbers work out, it just sees a little more value. My model sees a little more value on Rocker to cover, split 4 maps between them and Toronto and LA Thieves. So, yeah, to me, it's just take those plus 1.5s, see if Rocker can force a map 5 this weekend. And if they do it once, then you're good. I mean, if they, that's all you're asking for. So, obviously, if I do that, Rocker will lose 3-1 in both series, but just because that's how that goes. I don't know. To me, that's how you play it. But yeah, the book is right in making Minnesota large underdogs. I just think they've jumped the gun a little too much. Um, so I've got Rocker as a 21% chance to win, which is still much higher than a plus 800 money line price. Like if it's 21% chance to win, to me that price should be closer to like 5-1. And in my head, that makes sense intuitively. Like, if you asked me before I looked at my numbers and before I saw the sportsbook lines, like, okay, Minnesota is playing Toronto this weekend. What is the money line price that Minnesota wins? I would probably have said, like, I don't know, plus 400, plus 500, plus 600, something in that range. And it's like, no, it's plus 800. So I'll take that. I know there's uncertainty with, Attach coming back into the lineup and it might look really bad. At the same time, they might look better somehow. And like I mentioned earlier, maybe that lineup switch is just for the Thieves match. I know that's also unlikely, but considering that, the lineup they've had has run into Thieves multiple times and it's looked horrible, maybe it's just, okay, we're going to see what this looks like against Thieves because we know our original lineup is going to get crushed. So maybe Afro is back for this matchup against Toronto. Who knows? But anyway, with all that uncertainty, that just leads me to the underdog. So yeah, Minnesota for me again, plus 1.5 is what I prefer. But if you want to play it a little safer and go plus 2.5, I get that. The money line, again, good value, but that would probably be my least favorite thing to make here, just because Toronto are a step above Thieves in my opinion, at least right now. And yeah, a Toronto win feels pretty likely. So shy away from that maybe, but just pull for Rocker to at least make it interesting.
I will leave by saying this, and we'll move on to the next game after I say this. Afro on Toronto Ultra next season.
Oh my god, that would be painful.
Painful
But
for you, or not for me? That wouldn't
yeah,
be painful for me.
yeah, no, not for you. The thing with Ultra is like, I don't know, man. I mean, this lineup they've had has won a major, and they haven't even played that many matches, right? Like, I know Hixie doesn't put up numbers, but clearly everybody else plays better when he's in the lineup. So, yeah, I don't know. If you're Toronto, I probably wouldn't change much unless the end of this year goes just catastrophically bad, but I cannot see that happening. But
I mean, I
yeah, if Afro, oh man,
is
yeah, as a
available.
Rocker fan, that would be
But see,
very painful.
the thing of it is, I feel like the whole point behind Standy was they wanted like a fast SMG, and when you think about, because I think they wanted a fast SMG to pair with Kleenex, and I think Hixie does the role okay, but I think ultimately, I think if that was what Standy was for, but then the Standy experiment failed for reasons, I guess, personality clashes or whatever. But I think if you're sitting there and you're Ultra and you say, all right, cool, whatever, we're just like, if you say, like, imagine Ultra and Kleenex, like, imagine Afro and Kleenex as your SMGs, like, that's terrifying. And
Maybe. I don't know. It's so the Standy Kleenex thing I don't think worked because they played too similarly, right? Like they both wanted to be the SMG kind of roaming
Slayer.
slayer around the map. Whereas right, Hixie gives you that solid setup. Like he's always going to be playing with Kleenex or whoever is closest to him in the map. Like he works the map so well. You see it with Ghosty right now on Optic. Like Ghosty doesn't put up crazy numbers. He puts up good numbers, but like you look at everybody around him, like they've all taken a step up. They all look so comfortable playing on the map with Ghosty because he plays so well with them, and his call outs are fantastic, right? They call him a walking UAV because he just knows how to play every situation. And I think
Yeah.
Pixie gives you that. So as fun as like you throw Afro on this and it's just Slayer after Slayer after Slayer on this map, like maybe that doesn't work. Maybe it would, and it would be crazy exciting, but I don't know. I don't
Maybe actually
see Toronto making that move.
yeah, that is a good point. Maybe you need a more objective player, and that's what Hixie does. And the Kleenex roams around and slays people, and and Hixie plays objectives, which is kind of the problem for, which was the problem with Standy, because Standy wanted to be the roaming slayer and Kleenex wanted to be the roaming slayer, so no one was like, okay, I'm getting to the point, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, right?
Yeah, but
So
Standy works well on Legion, right? Because it's like, okay,
now
you're
he just
paired
gets,
up
yeah,
with
temp, because
yeah,
temp is the objective player, so he gets to go kill people.
yeah, and Tej, like yeah, Standy's by far the fastest on that team, and they needed
Yeah,
a fast
they need a
SMG
fast
like him, so
SMG.
it worked. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we are slow. Because the thing is, again, I think, and we've talked to some people about this. Call of Duty and the analysis of Call of Duty is kind of still in its infancy, right? Like when you think about how people analyze the NFL now, even going back 10 years, it looks like when you go back 10 years on NFL analysis and on team construction and stuff, it's looking like they're like carving stuff out on stone tablets compared to now. And when you talk about roster construction as in terms of like, well, we want to draft this player because of this, and this reason, and because we think he's going to be a high impact player because of this, and it's just there's been such a huge shift in the NFL and how to analyze stuff, and that hasn't happened in the CDL. We haven't really had there hasn't been this revolution where it's like, okay, a team consists of this, and this like it's definitely a new there's definitely a lot of more work to be done in the CDL in terms of roster analysis and stuff like that. Anyways, that is way too much time to spend about this matchup that's probably going to be probably a blowout. So moving on to the next one, London versus Thieves. Again, another blowout actually. Ravens plus 2.5 minus 165. Thieves minus. I killed something, some sort of fly or something there. Uh, Thieves minus 2.5 plus 125 plus 650 on the money line, minus 1200 on the money line for Thieves. Over 3.5 minus 150, under 3.5 plus 115. So again, the question is just how good do you think Thieves are? I've got London with a 27% chance to win this game. I don't particularly like that. But like again, this is another one where it's like one team is massively favored. We think there's value on the other team, but I don't see a path for that team to win. Like that's what we basically said that what 6 times this week already. I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my analysis. What's your analysis?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, my numbers are a little bit further off than yours are. So I have London at a 13% chance to win, Thieves at 87%. Maybe, right, if you adjust for what Thieves have looked like lately, you bring that down maybe closer to 80%, but still, like, this is a huge lopsided affair. But I don't know, just yeah, this is a stay away for me. I have no interest in this. Thieves might be locked into losers bracket at this point. We don't know, right? London definitely don't have anything to play for. They do play on Friday versus Florida. Will they show up for that match? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Stay away from me. Maybe monitor the price as the week goes on. If we see some drastic moves one way or the other, maybe that could be time. Like maybe that's time to take some action on it. But otherwise, yeah, not really interested in watching this. Not really interested in making any action on this. So stay away from me. Yeah, we'll see if Thieves bounce back this weekend. It's a important weekend just to see what they look like. Um, I mean, winnable games, right? You get Rocker, you get Ravens. Yes, you're 0-3, but if you win 2 games, like there's a shot you're in the winner's bracket to start Major 5. Not that Thieves really need any more CDL points, but it just would be good mojo, right, as you go into champs. So, yeah, hopefully Thieves can bounce back a little bit. Hopefully Ravens put up a fight in their matches. I don't know if we'll see that, but I don't know. It's sad if we don't. So, yeah, total stay away from me. I will just make one quick point that like London Royal Ravens in this game are plus 650 on the money line, and Minnesota Rocker against Toronto Ultra are plus 800. And yeah, so it's to me. Actually, wait. Let's compare Thieves and Rocker versus Thieves and Ravens. Ravens plus 650 on the money line, Rocker plus 600 on the money line. The books are basically saying that Rocker have stooped down to the level of Ravens. It's like no. Like until we see that be the case, I'm not accepting that as fact. So, yeah, I don't know. Just another point to make about Rocker and how they might have value, but regardless, we're done talking about them. Thieves, Ravens, pass.
Yes. Last game of the weekend and of the regular season, Boston versus Subliners, which weirdly probably has like zero implications on anything. Boston plus 1.5 minus 170. Subliners minus 1.5 plus 130. Boston plus 135 on the money line. Subliners minus 186. Over 4.5 plus 150. Under 4.5 minus 200. Yeah, this is about right. I've got some slight value on subliners, but like I'm not running into the window to bet that. I've got them at minus 229, minus 186. That's fine. I've got subliners as favorites in the hard point, the search. Boston is better in the control, but that's probably just because they crushed Seattle in that this week. But then again, subliners back in the. It's just it's not it's not good. It's just I don't even I don't even know. Like it's just it's such a weird. You never. I don't feel whenever I bet on subliners, I don't feel confident. I'm not like yes, this is the right decision. But I don't even the minus 1.5. I've got that price at 162, so there's no real value there. It's just everything is just a mess. This is all just it's not good. It's not good. It's not fun. It's just weird. It's all just like yeah, maybe you could bet this, but then you feel weird doing it, and it's just yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, similar thoughts. I do. If you're gonna make me pick a side, I'll take Breach in this one. It's actually a sneaky, very important week for Boston Breach, right? They're not locked into champs by any means, and they play Atlanta and New York this weekend. So yeah, we'll see. They very well could lose both matches and put their champ spot up in jeopardy if it's a losers bracket start for them. That is even more worrisome. New York are sitting in a relatively comfortable position, so not much to worry about with them. But yeah, I don't know. In this one, Boston does it doesn't intrigue me really, but again, if you're gonna make me pick, I'll pick them. I do have New York as the better hardpoint team, slightly better search team, very slightly, and then Boston is I mean, it's basically a straight up 50-50 in control right now. Um, so yeah, I lean New York here to win the series, but I think Boston could probably push it to a game five, if not just win the series outright. It's a close one. It's a second consecutive week Boston has been in this spot, right? Prime time Sunday night. Last week it was Boston Seattle. This week it's Boston New York. So Boston, right? Catching the eyes of a lot of people. But yeah, I don't know. To me, a stay away should be a good game. Has some implications in terms of Boston's future for champs and Major Five, I suppose. So that's interesting at least. So, but yeah, otherwise a stay away for me. We'll see if the lines maybe move at all with these teams playing earlier in the week. New York has a pretty competitive game versus Seattle. And like I mentioned before, Boston has a very tough game versus Atlanta. If New York win and Boston lose, maybe the prices get ballooned out even more, and maybe then I'll take some action on Breach. But as it stands now, like a lot of Sunday games for me, just to stay away, and we'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and that is it. That is hopefully, the last regular season game of this horrendous format. Hopefully, if
We'll
ever
see.
we'll see. Hopefully, again, it's we're gonna be. I mean, after now, obviously, we're gonna be back next week, and then a couple weeks later for champs. But like the the next game, Modern Warfare 3, is gonna be releasing in November. So you're looking
Mhm.
at earliest, and again, it's like decidedly mid-November. I think it's only a couple weeks before Black Friday because it has to be before Black Friday. But like really potentially looking at like we're really looking at like 6 months because you're gonna have basically all of June, July, August, September, October, November, and I mean probably not even gonna see anything in December. I mean, you could be looking at 7 to 8 months before there's another call. After champs, there could be 6 to 7 months, depending on how you carve it up. But like, there's gonna be a half a year before the next Call of Duty match, and it's gonna be now. I'm fine with it because that's when football season is, and I'm happy in football season. But man, it's gonna be a long. And again, there are lots of concerns. The fact that it's called Modern Warfare 3 is a little concerning. The fact that it's Sledgehammer developing it, unless they're complete like I have concerns. There are concerns. I think they're basically just trying to charge $79 for DLC, but we'll see. I could be wrong on
Yeah,
that.
No, you could be right with that. I
I
mean,
I think
we're
I'm right. I
still
think I'm like 70% chance I'm right. I think I could be wrong, but I'm like there's a 70% chance that this is basically a DLC that they packaged up and they put in threw some new campaign missions in, maybe gave us some classic maps that they just deliberately withheld during the seasons because we were supposed to get Terminal and we don't have Terminal. I think they maybe bundle a couple classic maps together, throw it together, and say here's 70, pay us 79.99. But we'll see. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
we'll see. I do hope, I mean, with the long off season ahead, maybe the COD League will put together some sort of off season tournament or All-Star weekend or Warzone tournament. I kind of think they have to, like, you to go that long without any sort of event would just be strange to me. So, yeah, fingers crossed that they have something planned for like July, August, September because yeah, there's really nothing going on and the game is still very much alive. It's, still months before Modern Warfare 3 will come out. So, yeah, hopefully they can, have something to yeah, I don't know, promote in the summer while nothing else is going on. We'll see on that, but yeah, MW3, it's still a long ways away. It probably will be a disappointment, like most titles are these days, but there's still like 6 months before we get there. I do think, based on the success that like Major One received this year, that the league would want to turn around the release of Modern Warfare 3 quickly into a major. Like this year, I believe we started early December, but I believe the game came out in late October.
Yeah.
So ideally, we'll have a major before Christmas, but we'll
But the
see.
problem is it starts
Maybe,
getting really
yeah,
tight. See, like remember last year they had to do because they had to get in. So they basically found a window, a very narrow window between Black Friday and
yeah,
and
and Christmas.
basically a couple weeks before Christmas because they're like we're getting out of here before Christmas because we can't.
Yeah,
I think that I think the major was like the week before Christmas if I'm not mistaken. But the
yeah. So
problem is
they played 2 weekends worth of qualifiers, which was only 4 matches, which is why the seeding was so weird. And there was like a tiebreaker match between Thieves and Ravens that we didn't even see, but it happened.
that was great. I
Um,
forgot about that.
yeah, so maybe they do a quick turnaround like that again going into next year, but it is very dependent on, how buggy the game is right away, how ready it is for competitive play. Hopefully they can learn some things they learned from this game and
But
just
like that's
import it into MW3, but
that's the
we'll
point,
see.
right? Like
We'll see.
are you gonna stay there on like is it gonna be like, all right, guys, launch week, we need the maps now. This is the maps that it's gonna be, and then we're just gonna roll with them. Like that's literally the like the thing is, it bothers me because there was supposed to be other stuff in this game too. There was supposed to be a map creator mode where you could move things around, and that was supposed to exist. That didn't exist. We were supposed to get classic maps like Terminal. Terminal is in Warzone, but not in the game, not playable in the game itself. It bothers me that there was a lot of things that were supposed to happen that didn't happen. There's supposed to be a pause feature. Remember that? That was supposed to exist too. That doesn't exist anymore. It really bothers me that all these things that were supposed to happen just didn't happen. And again, it's like the league saying, "Okay, we know that these leagues are struggling and we're going to try to fix it, but we don't like when a company says cuz this was I think we talked about this last week. When a company says, "Yeah, there's a problem and we're going to try to fix it, but we don't know if it's possible to fix it." That is a problem. When a company says, "We don't know if we can fix this," that is the like a giant red warning light. That is basically them saying, "We might be getting rid of all of this. This might be all gone." And that is a terrifying, genuinely terrifying thought of this. And I am very concerned of that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we're used to this every year now, so I think we're getting better at just like expecting it. Not that we should be expecting like disappointment, but we're at least like
We know what
expecting it to
we know
know.
it's like.
Yeah,
We
because we
know
know
not
what
to
we
get our
want.
hopes up. We're not like,
That's
"Oh
good.
man, I'm getting can't wait for this game's going to be awesome." Like we're just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, all right. What's the problem? What's going to suck? What's going to be bad?"
Yeah,
So,
one tip I would give like Activision and maybe all the developing studios is the saying like under promise but over deliver. Like they do the opposite of that. Like they way over promise and they always underwhelm like when the game actually launched. Like they say, yeah, we'll have a pause feature, and yeah, we'll have a map editor so you can make your own competitive maps and all this and all that, and then nothing happens, and we're just like, okay, well, what was with all that stuff? Like, maybe they should just quiet down a little bit and just give us what we know we're gonna get. Because, yeah, it just feels like every year they say as much as they can to get it hyped up, and it works for the most part. And then everyone buys the game, and they go, well, actually, we can't do this, and that's delayed, and yeah, on and on and on. But anyway, we'll see when we get there. We're still,
Yes.
half a year away. But yeah, for now, got some COD to watch, and I'll enjoy it. Hopefully, Rocker get me some wins this week because I'm stressing.
Yes, I hopefully they do that for you, and it maybe clear some distance for between them and Paris. Sorry, not Paris, Vegas Legion. My bad.
Ooh.
Anyways, all right. We will see everybody next week with Major 5. We're going to see what the seeding is, talk about champs qualifying, all that stuff. Again, we're now only 2 more episodes left in the season, guys. That's it. There's only 2 more episodes left before the end of the year. So, um, sit tight, everybody. We got a couple more games of COD, and then there's going to be a potentially very long break. So, we will see everybody next week. Have a good weekend. Don't bet a lot on the long shots. Maybe just a little bit, just to feel something. Make some smart bets, and we'll see. Keep don't wet all your powder this week. Keep some powder dry for next week, and we'll see you next week. See you guys.